Hello my dear students, welcome to the subject of statistics for the class 12th English medium part 1 chapter 3 the linear regression by Vitan sir. In today's tutorial we will be studying about the exercise 3.1 and its sums. Before that, let us understand some illustrations so that we can check out the exercise perfectly. The illustration 1 for this chapter, following observations are there. The observations are about the life of cars and their average annual maintenance cost. The life of cars in years are 2468 and the average annual maintenance cost is 10, 20, 25 and 30. Now, we have to obtain the regression line of maintenance of cost on the life of cars. Also, we have to estimate the maintenance cost if the life of a car is 10 years. Now, those who remember the correlation perfectly, in this kind of a questions, we first determined the type of a method which we were going to use. We had three types of methods. One was X and Y method, second was U and V method, and the third was X bar Y bar method. Now, first we used to find the average of both the X and the Y. Right now, maintenance cost on life of car, that is Y on X. So we will take the maintenance cost as Y and life of cars as X. And usually we take the first value as X and the second as the Y naturally. So right now the X bar and the Y bar we usually find first. Now, if you remember the method from correlation chapter, if the X and Y values were whole means, the averages were the whole numbers, they were not fractions, then we used to take the X bar Y bar method. If the values of X and Y are very small, which they are right now, then we will take the XY method. And if the X and Y values are very big, we will take the shortcut UA method. Now right now if you check out the values, you can see that they are not that big, they are quite small right now. First you have to write down the question itself, that would be X and Y, like this, and make a total. If you see, if you take an average, the average of X, that is X bar, is 5, but if you take the average of Y, then it is not a whole number, it's a fraction. As you can see, it is 21.5. So what you are going to do right now is use the XY method. For that you need only two columns. Now once again, let me explain how we are going to draw the columns. In the correlation chapter, whenever you were using XY method, you needed X column, Y column, XY column, X square column and Y square column. Once again, X, Y, XY, X square and Y square. But as I have already told you in the previous tutorial, that in the division we don't take the Y variable. In the division we only take the independent X variable. So the Y square or Y minus Y bar square or the V square, these columns are not necessary. So we will be making one column less, and that less column will be the column of the Y variable. So we will not need the Y square column, we only need XY and X square column. So we will start with the XY column. XY column is the multiplication of the X and Y columns, like this: 20, 80, 150, 240. Then we will take the X square column. Life of the car is the X variable here, so we will make a square of 2, 4, 6, it is 4, 16, 36 and 64. Once we are done with the two columns, we will make a total of these two. Now after making the, start by writing down the mean which you had to find. Right now your mean X bar is 5, Y bar is 21.25. The regression line of maintenance cost Y on life of car X is, always start with the titles, always start with the formulas. Don't do the sum, don't start the sum without writing titles and formulas first. Now this is your regression line formula, that is Y cap is equal to A plus BX. First you need to calculate the B. B is the regression coefficient. So regression coefficient B, we will start by writing down the formula here. Now the numerator formula is as it is from the correlation chapter, but in the denominator we don't write the y variable and we remove the square root. That's the difference. We don't write the y variable in the equation for the division and we remove the square roots. Now whatever values we have right now, we will put them into our equation. Now multiply the values. Once you multiply the values, find the difference, and that way you will get the value of b, that is the regression coefficient, that is 3.25. So your regression coefficient is 3.25. Now we have to put the values of x bar, y bar and b in the formula of a. Let me remind you, the a formula is y bar minus b x bar. Now you use the value of b in the formula of a, that's why you can't calculate a before. First you have to calculate b and then only you can calculate a. Now put the values of y bar 21.25 minus b value 3.25 and the x bar value 5. Multiply and subtract, you will get the value of a as 5. Now once you get the value of a and b, put that into our regression line equation, that is y cap is equal to 5 plus 3.25x. Now x is equal to 10 is the question itself. Why? We have to estimate the maintenance cost of a car if its life is 10 years. That means x, based on the available question of x, we have to find the answer for y. First we created an equation. Now we will put the value of x into equation to find the value of y. This is something which we have done in so many years we have studied mathematics, that putting the value in the equation. So y cap is equal to 5 plus 3.25x is the equation. The question was given that x is 10, that the life of cars is 10. So when we put that thing into the equation, we get something like this, that is 37.5. So y cap is 37.5. We write down the statement that if life of car is 10 years, then estimated maintenance cost is 37.5 thousand. This just means that you can take any life of car, put that value into this equation and you will get an estimate of the maintenance cost. You can put, if you want to try, you can put the value 5 years, you can put value 2.5 years, you can put the value 15 years, and that way you will get an answer. But remember, that's an estimate of the answer, that is not an actual answer. It is just an estimate. There might be some error in that, there is a possibility. So this is how the regression works. We take the values of x independent variable and y dependent variable. We find an equation line, that is the regression equation, and once we find the equation line, we can assume any value of x and put it into equation to get an estimate of the y. Take the illustration 2, number of laptops sold and the profit. Now naturally laptop sold is an independent variable, so that is taken as x and the profit is taken as y. Now we will first find the mean to determine the method which we are going to follow. As you can see, both the means are in decimals, fractions, so we are not going to use the x bar y bar method, we are going to use the x y method. Start by writing down the question itself, the values of x and the total, values of y and the total. Once you are done with that, you just need two columns, the multiplication of both and the x square. Y square variable is not required, so we will not write it down. Multiply both the columns x and y, find the square of the column x and then make a total. Once you are done with that, move forward to next slide. Now start with the title, regression line of y on x is y cap is equal to a plus bx. Now formula for b, as it is xy method, we will call it. Put the necessary values and after putting the values, multiply those values, subtract those values, divide them, and that way you will get the value of b as 0.90. The round figure value of b is 0.90. Put this into our equation of a. The y bar is 9.67, the b is 0.90, the x bar is 6.67. Multiply them and that way you will get the value of a is 3.67. Now put a and b into our regression equation. That would be y cap is equal to a plus bx. That would be y cap is equal to 3.67. Now apart from y cap, we were also supposed to find an estimate. Right now the x is given as 7. In the question it was mentioned, if you have any doubts, revert back to the slide. An error variable for x is equal to 7 was to be found. Now before finding error, let us find the value of y for x is equal to 7 by putting 7 into the equation. That way you will get the y cap answer as 9.97 lakh. Now if you remember the previous tutorial, E, that is error, was defined as the difference between original observation and the estimated observation. Now from the question, the original observation was 9. In the question, x is equal to, when x was 7, the value in y was 9, while right now the estimate of observation is 9.97. So we will find the difference, and that difference is the negative 0.97 lakh. So at the time of estimation, this is our error. So this is the difference between the original observation and the estimated observation. So this is how you find the error. First you estimate the observation and then you find the difference of it from the original observation. That way you can find the error. Next is illustration 3. We have to study the relationship between the repairing time of accident damaged cars and the cost of repair. So repairing time and the cost of repair, we have to find the regression for this. We have to obtain the regression line of y on x. If the time taken is estimated as 50 hours, then we have to find an estimate of the repairing cost. Start with finding out the mean. Now as you can see, both the means are whole values. They are not fractions, they are natural numbers. So we are going to use the x bar y bar method. We will start by writing down the x and y values and their total also. Once we are done with the x and y values, we have to prepare 1, 2, 3 and 4 columns. X minus x bar column, y minus y bar column, multiplication of the two column, and the square of the x minus x bar column. As I have told you previously, we are not going to use the y variable here in the division, so we will not need y minus y bar square column. In case you are confused, then please revert back to the list of formulas which I have mentioned. We will start by x minus x bar column. As we know, the value of x bar was 34, so we have to deduct 34 from each and every values of the x. So from all the values of x, we will deduct 34, and that way we will get this list of values. Now as we know, the value of y bar was 29, we have to deduct 29 from each and every value of the y column. So y column is 25, 35, 18, all that, and we will deduct 29 from each and every of those values. That way we will get this list of values. Now we will multiply x minus x bar, y minus y bar column. Be aware, be attentive to the positive negative signs, because if you make a mistake in those positive negative signs, you will get a wrong answer. Once you are done with the x minus x bar into y minus y bar, make a square of x minus x bar column, and that way you will get the final column, the list of values. Now make a total, and that way you get your two values which you require, the x minus x bar, y minus y bar, and x minus x bar square. Now as usually, we have to start by the title and write down the formula: x minus x bar, y minus y bar divided by x minus x bar square. No y variable in the denominator and no square root, just two values, divide them, and you will get your answer for the B, that is regression coefficient B is 1.45. Once you are done with that, start with A, that is y bar minus B x bar. Put the necessary values, that is y bar is 29, x bar is 34, and B is 1.45. That way you will get the value of A is negative 20.3. So B is 1.45 and A is negative 20.3. Put both of them into our regression line of y on x, that is y cap is equal to A plus bx. Therefore y cap is negative 20.3 plus 1.45 x. That way you have to put x is equal to 50 into equation, and by putting that value into equation, you will get your y cap answer as 52.2. Now you have to write a statement that when repairing time is 50 hours, the estimated repairing cost is 52.2 thousand. So regression is used to estimate the value of y for the given variable of x. So this is the basic use of the regression. Now, we will start with exercise 3.1, the first question. In the following data, we have price in rupees and demand in 100 units of a commodity. We have to obtain the regression line of demand on price, and we also have to obtain the demand when price is 20 rupees. Now, before starting any question, we have to start with the average. So right now in the question, the average of x is 16 and average of y is 10. As you can see, both the averages are whole numbers, they are not fractions, but then again the question itself has small values. So what I am going to do is I am not going to use the x bar y bar method, but I will continue with using the xy method, because you know xy method has less columns and it is quite easy to calculate. So I will continue with the xy column. Now these are the four columns which you are going to require: the price x, that's the question, and the demand, then you need x into y, and then you need the x square. We will start by writing down the question. Once you are done by writing the questions, multiply x and y. This is the list of values which you will get by that, and then make a square of the x values. Once you are done by multiplication and squaring, make a total of all the four columns. You are going to need all these four columns. After that, give a title. The regression line of demand on price is as follows, that is y cap is equal to a plus bx. Now b, n summation xy minus summation x summation y divided by n summation x square minus summation x the whole square. Now in this, put the values which we have calculated, and once you are done by putting the values, multiply them and square them as we have been doing, and subtract them. We get a negative answer. That means our value of b is going to be negative 1.34. Now we will put this value of b into our equation of a, that is y bar minus bx bar. Here y bar is 10, x bar is 16 into negative 1.34. Now as you can see, there is a two negative signs, so negative negative will be positive. 10 plus 21.44, that is 31.44. Once you are done by calculating a and b, the b was negative 1.34 and a is 31.44. Put both of them into our equation of regression, that is y cap is equal to 31.44 plus negative 1.34 into x. Now positive negative is negative, so keep that thing in mind while the calculation. Y cap is equal to 31.44 minus 1.34 into 20. Why? Because the price is estimated as 20 and we have to calculate the demand at that price. If you simplify this equation, you will get an answer 4.64, which is in the 100 units. Your statement will be, when the price is 20 rupees, the demand will be 464 units. That was in 100 units, so 4.64 into 100 is 464 units. So my dear friends, when the price for the product is 20 rupees, the estimate of the demand will be 464 units. The second question, we have to study the relationship between the usage of cars and its average annual maintenance cost. Means how much time a car has been used and what is its average annual maintenance cost. We have to calculate the regression line of y on x. Here the x is usage and y is the maintenance cost. Also, we have to estimate the average annual maintenance cost when the usage time of a car is 5 years. Also, we have to find its error. We will start with the average value. The average value here for x bar and y bar, that is 2.67 and 8.5. As we can see, both these values are fractional values. We can't use x bar y bar method. We have to use the xy equation. We will start by writing down the question. That would be x and y. And once we are done with the question, we will write the multiplication and the squares as we have already been doing. So the xy column and the x square column, once you are done with them, make the total. The regression line of maintenance cost y on the usage of car x is as follows, that is y cap is equal to a plus bx. Now the formula is going to be the same as it has been. You have to put the necessary values in them. Once you put the values, multiply and square the values, subtract the values, that way you will get the answer of b as 1.93. Now put this value into our equation of a, that is y bar minus b x bar, that would be 8.5 minus 1.93 into 2.67. When you solve this equation by multiplication and subtraction, you will get a as 3.35. Once you are done with b and a, put both those values into our regression equation, that is y cap is equal to a plus bx. Put the values 3.35 plus 1.93 into x. Now that is our regression equation. The usage time is 5 years. That's what we are supposed to calculate. So when the usage time is 5 years, what will be the maintenance cost? So in the place of x, put 5, multiply and add. That way you get 13,000 rupees. Now if you revert back to the question, when x was 5, the value of y was 13 in the question itself. So the original observation is 13 and the estimate of the observation is also 13. So to find the error, E is equal to y minus y cap, and that would be E is equal to 13 minus 13 is equal to 0. So we can say that there is no error in the calculation of this equation. The third question, the information for a year regarding the average rainfall in centimeter and total production of crop in tons of 5 districts is given as follows. Now what we are supposed to do is calculate the regression line of production of crops on rainfall, that is y on x, and estimate the crop if the average rainfall is 35 centimeters. As usually, we will start by calculating the average of both. The x bar here is 31, the y bar here is 90. Both are the whole numbers, natural numbers, and if you see the question, the values are not small, they are big, but x bar and y bar are whole numbers. So this time we are going to use the x bar y bar method. So we will be writing the xy column, x minus x bar, y minus y bar columns, x minus x bar square columns, and the x minus x bar into y minus y bar. Start by writing the question properly. Once you are done by writing the question, we have to calculate x minus x bar. Now x bar here is 31. So from all the values of x, we will be deducting 31. Remember, the total should be 0. If it is not 0, then you are making a mistake somewhere. Next, y minus y bar. The y bar here is 90. So from each and every value of the crops, I will be deducting 90. That way I will get these values. Again, the total of these should also be 0. If it is not, there is a mistake. Once you are sure with these two columns, you have to make a square of the x minus x bar column. That would be 36, 1, 49, 4 and 0. And then multiply the x minus x bar and y minus y bar column, that is 36, 0, 35, 4 and 0. Once you are done with all this, you have to make a total of all these columns. Now, we will start by writing down that the regression line of crop y on average rainfall x is as follows, that is y cap is equal to a plus bx. Now the formula will be something like this. B is equal to summation x minus x bar into y minus y bar divided by summation x minus x bar whole square. Only two values you are going to need, that is x minus x bar, y minus y bar total 75, divide by x minus x bar whole square total 90. That way you will get the b as 0.83. Now put this value into our equation of a is equal to y bar minus b x bar. Putting the value 90 minus 0.83 into 31, multiply and subtract That way you will get the answer 64.27. The value of A is 64.27. Put this into our equation of the regression equation. Y cap is equal to A plus Bx, where A is 64.27, B is 0.83. Now, as I have seen in the question, the average rainfall is estimated at 35 centimeter. Therefore, Y cap is equal to 64.27 plus 0.83 into 35. Multiply and add both the values. That way you will get the estimate of the crop production as 93.32 tons. So when average rainfall is estimated at 35 centimeters, the crop production will be 93.32 ton. Moving on to the last question of the exercise, the data gives the experience of machine operators and their performance ratings. The operators are 1 to 8. The experience are in years, that is X variable, independent variable. Performance rating is a Y variable, which is the dependent variable. We have to calculate the regression line of performance ratings on experience, that is Y on X. And we have to estimate the performance rating of an operator with a 7 years of experience. So here, as we have been doing, we will start by the average. The X bar is 10, the average experience is 10, and the average performance rating is 81. Both the means, both the averages are non-fractional values, the whole values, the natural numbers, and as you can see, the question itself are big values, so we will not be using the XY method, we will be using the X bar Y bar method. For that, start with the columns, the experience, the performance rating, the X minus X bar, Y minus Y bar, X minus X bar square, and X minus X bar into Y minus Y bar. Start by writing down the question itself. Be very careful while you are copying down the values. If you make a minor mistake, it is going to cost you your whole sum. X minus X bar, that is X bar is 10, so we will be deducting 10 from each and every value of X. The value of Y bar is 81, so we will deduct 81 from each and every value of Y. That way we will get two of our most important columns. Once you are done with X minus X bar and Y minus Y bar column, make a square of the X minus X bar column, which will give you these values, and then multiply the X minus X bar Y minus Y bar column, and that will provide you with these values. Once you are done with all the necessary columns, you need to make a total. Remember, X minus X bar and Y minus Y bar column total should be 0. Right now you just need the last two totals for your sum. Now, as usually, we have to start with the regression line of performance ratings, that is Y variable, on the experience, that is the X variable. The Y cap is equal to A plus Bx is our equation. Once you are done with the titles, write down the formulas. Y summation X minus X bar into Y minus Y bar divided by X minus X bar whole square. Now put the value, that is 247 upon 21H, that would be 1.13. Now that is the value of B, which we will put into our equation of A, where Y bar is 81 in minus 1.13 into the X bar 10. That would give us 81 minus 11.3. That would give us A is equal to 69.7. So B is 1.13, A is 69.7, and that we will put it into our regression equation, and it will look something like this. Now it was said that the experience is 7 years. Therefore, we will put 7 as the value of X into our equation. We will multiply the values and then we will add them, and we will get 77.61. So the performance rating will be 77.61 when the experience of the operator is 7 years. So my dear friends, that's your answer. Also, this is the end of the exercise 3.1. Next time, before that, your homework is all the sums of this tutorial twice, as I have always been giving you, and next time we will be studying the shortcut method, the UV method. of regression by least squares. Remember, right now the method which we are studying is the least square method, and these are the various formulas used under the least square method. So my dear friends, till then, stay home, stay safe, see you soon, study hard.